The Trippy Spin. Man, what a trick. Last year in 2022, I was going through YouTube. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I mean, from Bot Grinder, Rotor Riot, and I was really starting to get into this FPV stuff. And I guess I was watching some Rotor Riot videos, and I came across this trick called the Trippy Spin. Basically, this trick requires you to pretty much do an orbit, but you have to be inverted. So it means you're looking up at your object instead of looking down at it. So the thing with the drones, the propellers are supposed to be pointed upward. The top of the propeller should be pointing up so that the drone can produce thrust. So the blades will spin, they'll produce thrust, which will push the drone up. So now you're basically going to be on your side. So this will be in a position where you would move forward. So you would tilt your drone, you pitch your drone forward a little bit at a certain angle in order for the drone to move forward. Usually you don't want to go above 45 degrees because your drone will go right into the ground. You have to be very careful with your pitch. You have to set it at the right angle so that it balances with the thrust so that you can go up and down or stay level. When you're flying, you don't want to exceed the 45 degrees because that would end up pushing you in the ground because the drone will no longer have any upwards lift. So everything is going forward. Whatever height you started at when you go above 45 is where you're going to start to fall from. And if so you have to correct for that by adjusting your angle and your thrust. Now, there's one other time when you might exceed 45 degrees. Sometimes when you're going really fast and you want to do a full bank and just turn around and come back the other way, you might go to extreme angles and basically you turn and then you're going to put a lot of thrust, in order to pretty much stop yourself from going in the direction you were going in. And now all that force that you're applying to stop yourself is now going to be used to go the opposite way. But after that, you have to readjust your pitch so that you can get some lift. The Trippy Spin, basically you're going to be sometimes at angles that are greater than 45 degrees. So it's possible that you can start falling out of the air. So with the Trippy Spin, I was able to figure out how to do this in liftoff. So in the simulator, using my controller, I'm able to do the Trippy Spin, but I could do it only like on very tall structures in the simulator. If I try to do it on something very low to the ground, I would always end up crashing into the ground because, again, to do the Trippy Spin, you're at angles that are greater than 45, probably even close to 90. You start to lose altitude really quick. I've been watching videos of other pilots on YouTube doing the Trippy Spin, like Heads from Infinity Loop. Like, he's really good, and some of his tutorials are really informative too. He points out that you have to really give the drone some thrust, like right when you get into the Trippy Spin maneuver, you have to give it some thrust, and then the next thing is some talk about how you enter a Trippy Spin. Some say you gotta fly up like you're about to do a power loop, but once you get completely perpendicular to the ground, or at least close to being perpendicular to the ground, that's when you would start to use the Trippy Spin maneuver. And basically the Trippy Spin is you take the controller, the stick on the left and the stick on the right, and then you pull them in opposite directions, either towards each other or away from each other, and that will trigger the Trippy Spin. But you have to get into the right position before you do that, and so it requires you to somehow become vertical. You can do something like you're increasing your height, like you're going up, and then do a roll into the Trippy Spin, or you could just execute the Trippy Spin, which basically will activate a roll. In this video, what I want to do is learn how to do Trippy Spins lower to the ground, like objects that are like less than 30 feet, like poles or trees are less than 30 feet. I want to be able to do the Trippy Spin around those, so you're really close to the ground. You're maybe only like 5 feet or something off the ground, because the camera has to look up so you can see the obstacle in view. So you have to stay close to the ground, otherwise you overshoot the obstacle. So again, this is what I've been finding to be very difficult, is doing Trippy Spins low to the ground. Again, very high structure like a light pole, or actually something higher than a light pole. Something above 30 feet would be much easier, like some kind of antenna or something. But once I figure out how to do this in a simulator, then I want to do this in real life. So I've done it in a simulator. I've done a lot of trippy spins in the simulator. I'm even created a little map so I can practice it more in the simulator, and specifically trying to do it closer to the ground. I am trying to work on doing this in real life. So I've found an obstacle. I've been looking around, looked at trees, but I've decided to just work with a pole that looks about 30 feet high. So in this video, I'm going to attempt doing the trippy spin a few times.